Discipline is not a luxury or a temporary habit, but rather the hidden force that makes the difference between success and failure. To force yourself to do what you must do, even when you don't want to, this is the truth that many try to ignore, but it is the only unavoidable truth. We may wait for the feeling of enthusiasm or the right moment to begin, but the truth is that moment may never come. Those who keep waiting for readiness remain stuck in place while others move forward with steady steps. The problem is not the absence of opportunities, but the absence of discipline when facing them. How many times have you wasted a great opportunity just because you postponed execution? How many times has comfort stolen from you years that could have been filled with achievement? Here the truth becomes clear. Motivation is temporary, but discipline is the daily decision that determines your destiny, especially on days that seem harder than others. This book does not talk about distant theories or empty slogans, but about a reality that every person lives. It's about those moments when internal voices rise to justify postponement, to tell you convincing excuses, while you know deep down that what you really need is to move now, not tomorrow. Here lies the real challenge, to triumph over yourself before triumphing over anything else. What you will learn in the coming pages is not just words, but a clear path to regain control of your life. If you can force yourself to be disciplined, you will discover that you are capable of changing every aspect of your life, your health, your work, your relationships, and even your self-image. This book is an invitation to begin, to stop waiting, and to learn how to become the master of your decisions, not a slave to your habits or fluctuating moods. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, press the like button, and activate the notification bell to receive everything new. Your support encourages us to continue.
Chapter 1. Face your laziness directly and don't negotiate with it. Discipline is not something you find by chance, nor is it a guest who knocks on your door with a smile to change your life. Discipline is a battle that begins from within you, a frank confrontation between you and that lazy voice that tries to convince you to postpone, to rest, and that tomorrow is better for starting. When you feel the weight of the bed preventing you from getting up, or when your mind whispers that you deserve a break, know that this moment is the real test. If you accept negotiation, laziness will defeat you every time, because laziness never runs out of excuses. It always has a new argument to keep you in place. Laziness doesn't always appear clearly. Sometimes it disguises itself as a worthless side activity, endlessly browsing your phone, eating food you don't need, or being busy with small tasks that take you away from what's truly important. This is the trick, to make you feel busy while you're actually running away from the difficult. The truth is that progress never exists in the easy, but in facing what requires effort, focus, and patience. If you want to build discipline, you must see laziness for what it truly is, an enemy of your future. Every time you surrender, you're not just wasting minutes, but training yourself to give up. Therefore, every small excuse is more dangerous than you think. You might say, "I'll skip the workout just for today," but what actually happens is that you're building the habit of saying no to discipline. With passing days, that habit becomes part of your personality, until you find yourself in crucial moments unable to continue. But when you refuse to negotiate, when you stand and move despite every part of you wanting to stop, then you begin building real strength, a strength that frees you from the chains of laziness and pushes you forward. The secret here is simple but profound. Discipline is not cruelty to yourself, but rather the highest degree of self-respect. To say, "My future deserves my effort today. My goals deserve me to bear the fatigue now." Laziness will not disappear completely. It will appear tomorrow and the day after, but you can weaken it with every time you choose action instead of excuses. With every small victory, you gain greater confidence in yourself. You begin to trust that you are capable of facing laziness whenever it returns, that you will not retreat, but will stand and move. Here, the transformation happens. You become the master of your decisions, and your life becomes a reflection of your disciplined strength, not the fragility of your excuses.
Chapter 2. Start with small, immediate steps to train yourself on quick response.
Discipline is not just a side trait we talk about in the context of success, but rather the fundamental pillar upon which every real achievement is built. Many search for shortcuts or magical ways to progress, but the simple truth that most people ignore is that discipline is the only guaranteed path. You may have talent, you may have the dream, and you may even have the opportunities that others wish for, but if you don't have discipline, you will lose all of that with the first obstacle or the first feeling of laziness. Discipline means moving despite all the internal voices that tell you, not today, tomorrow will be better. It means taking action when you feel no motivation. Enthusiasm may ignite your beginnings, but it won't carry you to the finish line. The successful person is not the one who feels desire all the time, but the one who knows that feeling is not a reliable criterion. The successful person chooses action even when enthusiasm goes out. Think a little. How many times have you sat waiting for the right moment? How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? And how many times have you lost opportunities because you weren't ready enough? The truth is that life doesn't give us a warning before knocking on our door. If you're not disciplined enough, the opportunity will slip from your hand while you're busy waiting. Success doesn't know waiting. Success only knows those who commit to the small daily step, no matter how difficult or boring. Discipline is not one decision, but thousands of small decisions you make daily. It's choosing to get up instead of staying in bed, choosing exercise instead of laziness, choosing study instead of aimlessly browsing your phone. These decisions seem simple, but in their totality, they determine who you will be after a year, 5 years, or 10. Success is not one big moment, but the accumulation of those small decisions you made despite everything. Here lies its power. Discipline changes you from within. When you force yourself to commit, you begin building a new image of yourself, a stronger, more confident image. You become the person who trusts in their promises to themselves. Every time you choose discipline, you confirm to yourself that you are capable, that you are responsible, and that you control your life. This internal confidence cannot be bought or given, but is built through small moments of struggle and victory. Discipline also protects you from a dangerous enemy called procrastination. This enemy doesn't attack you all at once, but steals from you slowly. It makes you postpone today, so you lose a week, then a month, then years. Suddenly, you discover that life has passed and you haven't achieved anything. Discipline is the only weapon capable of silencing this enemy because it doesn't leave you the option of postponement, but pushes you to do what is necessary now, not tomorrow. If you want to change your life, start from here. Don't wait to feel ready. There will never come a day when you wake up to find yourself full of unstoppable enthusiasm, but you can choose to begin, to take a small step today and repeat it tomorrow and the day after. These small disciplined steps will transform over time into a tremendous force, pushing you toward your goals. Because discipline is not just a habit, but a lifestyle. Its impact is reflected in all your aspects. In your work, it raises your level and makes you a dependable person. In your health, it protects you from slackness and ensures continuous energy. In your relationships, it makes you more committed and responsible. Even in your inner life, it gives you calm and confidence because you know you control yourself and don't submit to its excuses. In the end, all we want from this book is to put you before the truth. Success is not a complex puzzle, but repeated discipline. To do what must be done even when you don't feel like it. To choose commitment over comfort and continuity over excuses. If you learn to live with this mentality, you will no longer be an ordinary person after today, but will become the leader of your life and the maker of your destiny.
Chapter 3. Control your thoughts before they control your decisions. The greatest battles of discipline are not fought in the external world, but in the depths of the human mind. Every decision you make and every action you take begins first as a small thought in your head. If you don't learn how to control what goes on inside you, your life will remain captive to emotions, fluctuating moods, and distorted perceptions. But when you possess the ability to direct your thoughts, your decisions become clearer, stronger, and smarter, and discipline becomes possible and realistic. Many think that thinking is something separate from actions, and that what goes on inside them doesn't leave a big impact on their behavior. But the truth is that your actions are nothing but a reflection of what you allow your thoughts to plant inside you. The person who repeats to themselves that they will never improve will stop trying sooner or later. The one who constantly believes they will fail won't even start.
Thoughts are not just passing words, but the seeds from which your decisions emerge. Every decision you make today builds the shape of your life tomorrow. When you leave your mind without monitoring, it easily turns into a ground for negativity. One negative thought drags behind it a chain of other thoughts: fear, doubt, hesitation, excuses. You tell yourself, "I'm tired," or "I won't succeed," or "the attempt doesn't deserve the effort." With repetition of this internal dialogue, you find yourself avoiding what is difficult and accepting what is less than your capabilities. Thus, without feeling it, your life becomes a reflection of the weakness of those thoughts. But the good news is that control is possible. You can train yourself to sort your thoughts as you sort your food. You don't eat anything placed before you without thinking, because you know that what enters your body affects your health. Likewise, you cannot allow any thought to settle in your mind. You must choose what deserves to stay and what should be excluded. This in itself is a discipline skill. Discipline in managing thoughts. The first step begins with awareness. Most people live on automatic mode. They don't notice what they're thinking about at all. They think their thoughts are absolute truths when they are often just opinions or reflections of old experiences. When you start monitoring yourself and asking, "What am I thinking about now? Does this thinking push me forward or hold me back?" you put yourself in the position of control instead of a position of victim. Just asking these questions creates distance between you and the thought, transforming your mind from a battlefield into a field of awareness. The second step is replacement. You simply cannot expel a negative thought and leave its place empty, because the mind doesn't work in a vacuum. If you want to get rid of a destructive thought, you must plant a constructive thought in its place. When your mind tells you, "I can't," replace it with, "I may stumble, but I'm capable of learning and developing." When it says, "I don't feel the desire now," change it to, "I'll start now," because beginning generates motivation. Replacement doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect, but means directing your mind toward what strengthens you instead of what weakens you. The third step is controlling the sources that feed your mind. Your daily environment is your thought factory. The news you follow, the conversations you engage in, the people you sit with, all leave their mark on your way of thinking. If you surround yourself with pessimists, you'll think like them. If you fill your day with empty entertainment, you'll find your mind directed toward comfort instead of growth. Therefore, discipline in thinking also begins with discipline in choosing the environment you live in. One of the most powerful tools on this path is the habit of meditation and review. Dedicate daily time to ask yourself, did my thoughts today help me progress? Did they make me more disciplined or less? Where did I allow negative thinking to dominate, and where did I triumph over myself? This review makes you more aware of your mental patterns and gives you the opportunity to correct them before they turn into ingrained habits. Remember that your feelings are not independent of your thinking. If your mind is scattered and negative, you'll find yourself anxious and frustrated, not always because of circumstances, but because of your interpretation of them. But when your thinking is disciplined, your emotions become more stable, and you find within yourself calm and strength. This emotional stability is what gives you the ability to make better decisions and continue on the path even when things get difficult. Disciplined thinking doesn't mean denying difficulties, but means choosing how to deal with them. One person faces the same challenge and says, "This is difficult, but I can take one step." Another says, "This is difficult, so I won't try." The result is completely different, even though the situation is the same. The whole difference is in the internal dialogue. Start applying from small moments. When the alarm rings, notice the first thought that comes to you. When you face a difficult task, watch what your mind says. When you lean toward procrastination, immediately change that sentence that justifies laziness. Tell yourself, "Waking up now strengthens me. Starting now proves my discipline. It may be a lot, but I'll start with the first step." With repetition, you'll reprogram yourself so that your thoughts become your ally instead of your enemy. Over time, you'll discover that you're no longer a victim of your mind, but have become its leader. You won't fall at the first temptation or distraction because you have internal clarity that guides you. This quiet strength is what makes the difference between someone who lives reacting to life and someone who lives with will, awareness, and choice. In the end, remember this truth. Mental discipline is not a prison, but freedom, because it frees you from the chaos of emotions and doubts and gives you the ability to be the decision maker. When you control your thoughts, you become master of yourself. When you become master of yourself, discipline becomes a lifestyle, not just a habit.
Chapter 4. Repeat the behavior until your mind accepts it.
Human behavior doesn't happen by chance. It's the result of patterns that repeat inside our minds. Anything you do continuously becomes easier over time, then becomes familiar, then turns into a habit. Whether this thing is beneficial or harmful, the mind doesn't differentiate. What you repeat often, it will eventually accept as natural. If you repeat procrastination, postponement will become your lifestyle. If you repeat excuses, evasion will become your automatic response to every challenge. But if you repeat strength, patience, and discipline, these are what will become your new nature. In the beginning, any new behavior will seem difficult, strange, uncomfortable. Your mind will reject it. It will try to return you to what you're used to, not because you're weak, but because your brain loves staying in the familiar. But repetition is the key. Every time you force yourself to repeat the new behavior, you're reprogramming your mind. Over time, what was difficult becomes ordinary, and what seemed impossible becomes automatic. Think a little. The first time you drove a car, the first time you spoke in front of a group of people, the first time you woke up early after a long period of staying up late, the experience was exhausting, confusing, and perhaps annoying. But after repetition, these actions became ordinary and perhaps don't require any effort from you now. This is not because the behavior changed, but because your mind adapted to the repetition. The problem is that most people give up before reaching this stage. They start a new habit but withdraw when they feel discomfort. They think discipline should be easy from the beginning, but nothing is natural at its start. Even walking in your childhood seemed impossible, but you didn't stop, and here you are now, walking without even thinking about it. The secret is to push yourself through the discomfort phase, to repeat the behavior until it becomes familiar. This is the point where real discipline is made. Discipline is not built in moments of enthusiasm, but in moments of fatigue, boredom, and resistance. But repetition doesn't mean massive effort. You don't need to do something big once, but you need to do something small every day. Real strength is not in the intensity of effort, but in its continuity. Reading 2 pages daily is stronger than reading 100 pages once a month. 5 minutes of daily exercise is stronger than 1 hour every 2 weeks, because the mind learns from continuity, not from temporary bursts. Beware of thinking that results must appear immediately. Your mind doesn't change in a day or two. Change happens when you continue repeating even in the absence of results. Just like planting. If you plant a seed, then dig up the soil every day to see if it's growing, it will never grow. But if you plant and water patiently, you'll be surprised by what will sprout. What's more beautiful is that every repetition is evidence. Every time you repeat a disciplined behavior, you send your mind a message saying, "I am capable." Over time, these messages turn into internal certainty. You become confident, stable, and don't need to remind yourself every day, because discipline is no longer something you try to do, but has become part of your personality. Yes, you will sometimes feel bored. You'll feel that repetition is dull, ordinary, without excitement. But know that these ordinary days are what make the real difference, because success is not the result of exceptional moments, but the result of your commitment on ordinary days. The difference between who succeeds and who stops is that the successful person repeats even in the absence of enthusiasm. In the end, repetition is not optional. It's a basic condition, not because you're weak, but because you're human, and your mind only changes when you force it to adapt to the new. First, you carry the habit, then the habit carries you. Discipline is not a mystery, not a talent, not a trait you're born with. Discipline is built through repetition, repetition, then repetition.
Chapter 5. Replace negative self-talk with firm direction. The words you whisper to yourself every day are more dangerous than you imagine. They determine whether you will remain captive to postponement and fear or rise with strength to build your life with discipline. The mind feeds on what it hears from you. It's shaped by your phrases and programmed by the tone of your internal voice. If it's full of doubts and excuses, expect nothing but weakness and retreat from your actions. But if it's clear, firm, and direct, it becomes a force that pushes you forward regardless of circumstances. The problem is that negative self-talk doesn't always come loudly. It creeps in quietly. It tells you you're not ready. It reminds you of your old failure. It whispers that the effort is heavier than your ability. Because these thoughts repeat, the mind begins accepting them as fixed truths.
People unconsciously repeat them day after day until they become their reality. Whoever says to themselves, "I am weak," will live weakly. Whoever repeats, "I will never change," will never change. The mind simply follows the most repeated words, especially if they come from inside you. Discipline starts here, to stop giving your internal voice the power of destruction and replace it with a firm voice that directs you. To treat yourself like a leader giving clear orders, not like a critic tearing you down. Firm direction doesn't mean lying to yourself or pretending everything is easy. It means refusing the language of weakness, commanding yourself with what must happen now, without negotiation or excuses. Vague sentences like, "maybe I should do it," open the door to hesitation, but a decisive sentence like, "I will start now," pushes the body to move immediately. The first step is awareness. Many live captive to negative phrases they repeat every day. "I'm tired," "I'm not smart enough," "I'll never succeed." These sentences seem innocent, but they're poison that seeps slowly. As soon as you learn to notice them, you'll discover they were stealing your discipline in silence. The second step is immediate replacement. Don't leave a void after silencing the negative voice, because the void will quickly fill again with excuses. Instead of "I can't," say "I'll start with one step now." Instead of "I'm lazy," say "I'll stand and move immediately." This is how you turn negative energy into positive action. But firm direction needs clarity and precision. It's not enough to say "I can." That's general and loose. Say, "I'll write one page now. I'll close the phone and focus. I'll walk for 10 minutes. Specific phrases cut the road before excuses, while vagueness leaves them space to return. Here lies the power of discipline, precise, direct, executable orders. Perhaps you'll be surprised that your negative voice sometimes disguises itself in the garment of mercy. It tells you you deserve rest when you haven't worked yet, or tomorrow will be a better day, stealing today from you. This type of deception is comfortable but dangerous. Firm direction reveals the truth. Rest is earned after work, not before it. Tomorrow won't change if you don't move today. It cuts the road to illusions that tempt you with laziness. Your environment also affects your internal dialogue. If you surround yourself with people who always complain or live by low standards, you'll find their words echoing inside you even in their absence. But if you surround yourself with strong people who speak with clarity and firmness, your voice will change to match them. So carefully choose the voices you allow to influence you. Practically train yourself. Write down the most common excuses you repeat to yourself. Then, beside each excuse, write the firm direction that will replace it. "I'm tired" becomes "I'll start with 5 minutes regardless of my feeling." "I won't succeed" becomes "I'll train every day until I improve." Read these directions constantly, and whenever the negative voice tries to return, confront it with your new decision. With repetition, your mind begins accepting the new orders as its natural standard. Firm direction is not cruelty, but the truest type of mercy. Negative talk weakens you because it lies to you. It amplifies your inability and hides your strength. Firm direction reveals the truth. You may not be comfortable, but you are capable. You may not see the result yet, but if you continue, you will arrive. This frankness may be difficult on the ear, but it builds a solid foundation for your discipline. Over time, your internal voice will become your trusted leader. Instead of whispering doubt, it will command action. Instead of reminding you of inability, it will remind you of strength. You'll wake up and hear yourself, "Get up now." You'll face a difficult task and hear, "Start immediately." You'll feel resistance and hear, "Complete to the end." This is the real transformation, for your inside to become a leader guiding you towards growth every day.
Chapter 6. Use pressure to move when comfort tempts you. Comfort is one of the biggest enemies of discipline. It makes you feel safe, calm, familiar, but it's not a friend to your progress. The more you surrender to it, the more it pulls you away from your goals. Comfort whispers to you, "Take things easy, postpone the difficult task, rest a little." It seems innocent at first, but over time it weakens your motivations and lowers your standards. The only way to break its grip is to use pressure to create circumstances that force you to move when your mind and body prefer to stay still. Pressure is not your enemy. It's often the tool that reveals the best in you. Remember deadlines. How many times did you postpone work until the last moment, then accomplished in a few hours more than you accomplished in weeks? Not because you weren't capable before, but because pressure forced you to act. The problem is that most people wait for external pressure, deadlines, emergencies, or consequences before they move. Discipline grows when you learn to impose pressure on yourself before life imposes it. Comfort doesn't know urgency. It convinces you that tomorrow will compensate for today, and that postponement won't be costly. But pressure creates urgency and says the time is now, not later. Methods of creating pressure are multiple. First is accountability. When you tell someone what you will do, when you make your goals visible, you enter a kind of weight that pushes you forward. If you promise yourself to exercise and tell no one, comfort will tempt you to back down. But if you tell a friend or share your goal publicly, that creates additional pressure that raises the likelihood of execution. Another method is setting deadlines. A goal without a specific date is just a wish. Postponement lets comfort dominate, but a fixed date creates pressure that focuses your mind and makes time shorter and better. Make deadlines shorter than your usual comfort. This urgency forces you to reduce distractions and prioritize. You can also use financial or investment pressure. Invest in something that obligates you to commit, a training course, tools, or any cost you pay. When there's something at stake, postponement becomes harder and comfort less attractive. Pressure also comes from raising your standards. Accepting mediocrity gives comfort easy control, but if you raise the ceiling of your expectations, you'll force yourself to move seriously even when you don't feel like it. The pressure here is not for seeking perfection, but for refusing to surrender to comfort. You can enhance this by visualizing the cost of comfort. Imagine your life if you always choose ease instead of effort, wasted time, lost opportunities, accumulating regret. This image generates strong emotional pressure that moves you immediately. Also learn to use pressure in moments of weakness. When you feel drawn toward comfort, give yourself a firm command. Do it now, no postponement. These resolute words create immediate internal pressure with no room for negotiation and push you to move at the point of weakness itself. Don't forget the power of responsibility. When others depend on you, you can't allow comfort to overcome. Parents, leaders, employees who give their best despite fatigue move not because they're always enthusiastic, but because responsibility forces them to move. You can use this principle in your life. Take on commitments that need your discipline. The more someone depends on you, the weaker comfort's authority. Comfort will never disappear, but it can be defeated by pressure. Comfort is gentle, pressure is firm. Comfort whispers, pressure commands. Who you choose to listen to determines your life's direction. Make pressure a daily tool. Set strict deadlines, announce your commitments, tie actual value to what you do. Raise the ceiling of your expectations, and remember the cost of surrendering to comfort. Every time comfort faces you and tempts you to postpone, respond with pressure. Move immediately. Choose progress instead of ease. The repeated decision builds your life with discipline. It's not easy, but it is possible. Every time you use pressure to overcome comfort, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you imagine.
Chapter 7. Build mental toughness by choosing effort over comfort. Mental toughness is the ability to continue when every part of you wants to stop. It's the strength that makes you stay with effort instead of fleeing to comfort. Life continuously offers you two choices: effort that makes you stronger, or comfort that keeps you weak. The easy path tempts you every day, but it doesn't know your real limits. Real discipline is for those who train themselves to choose effort constantly, even when comfort seems more tempting. Your toughness is not built in comfort, but in moments when effort is heavy and resistance is difficult, where you want to escape. Here, it's determined who will surrender and who will continue. Surrender teaches your mind that comfort is more important than progress. Continuing teaches you that effort defines your identity. Over time, these choices shape your personality. You become someone who collapses before comfort or someone who thrives with effort. Many people don't realize how many times they choose comfort unconsciously. They turn to food when stressed instead of facing the problem. They check their phones to avoid the difficult task, or they stop what they started because effort is uncomfortable. Each moment seems small, but they accumulate to become a permanent pattern, a pattern that builds either weakness or toughness. Your mind adapts to what you feed it.
Choosing effort means refusing to escape from discomfort. It means accepting that growth requires pain, that strength needs sacrifices, and that progress will never be easy. The truth is that the difficulty of effort is temporary, while the weakness resulting from seeking comfort continues long. When you complete the task, the pain goes away and the reward remains. When you escape, the comfort goes away and regret remains. Mental toughness teaches you to live for long-term reward, not short-term escape. Comfort always deceives you with an innocent appearance. You deserve a short break. The problem can wait. But this small moment multiplies. A short break turns into wasted hours. A neglected day turns into weeks of neglect. Every time you allow comfort to dominate, you weaken your ability to choose effort later. So be firm in refusing false comfort. Build your toughness in small stages. You don't need to start with the hardest challenge. Start by completing exercise without shortening, finishing a task before checking your phone, staying focused for a specified period without distraction. Every small victory strengthens your endurance capacity and tells your mind you're capable of facing discomfort. The more you repeat that, the more your toughness increases. With strength, intentionally seek effort. Choose walking instead of the elevator, staying with the problem instead of surrendering at difficulty, finishing what you started despite the desire to stop. Every choice builds your ability to persevere. Mental toughness is not a talent you're born with, but a habit built by always choosing effort over comfort. Another part of toughness is self-respect. Every time you choose effort, you prove to yourself that you're trustworthy to complete what you start. Trust generates pride, and pride feeds trust. But when you choose comfort, you lose your self-respect and will feel disappointment later. The way to restore it is through continuous effort. Every time you overcome comfort, you regain your respect. Patience is an essential part of toughness. Comfort seems attractive because it's immediate, while effort needs time before its results show. You may work for weeks before seeing clear change. Many surrender here. The disciplined person realizes that every day of effort is a cornerstone and trusts that the reward will come with continued accumulation. This trust enables them to continue despite comfort's temptation. To increase your toughness, set rules you don't break. Complete your daily goal before sleep. Don't stop halfway. These rules work as an anchor. When comfort tempts you, they remind you of your standards. Effort becomes manageable once you pass the difficult beginning. With every time you continue, your resilience grows naturally. Look at effort as training for punishment. Every difficult task is exercise for your mind. Every uncomfortable moment is training for perseverance. This view transforms effort into a tool that makes you unshakable. People who see effort as punishment flee from it. People who see effort as training welcome it. Comfort is temporary but doesn't build character. Character is built by effort. When you're tired and continue, you grow. When you're afraid and move despite fear, you grow. When you want to surrender and complete, you grow. These moments define your toughness and differentiate between the disciplined and undisciplined, between the distinguished and ordinary. Everyone has access to these moments. The difference is, do you choose effort or comfort? Start today by noticing your daily choices. When comfort tempts you, ask yourself, which decision makes me stronger? Which choice will I be proud of later? Which path builds my discipline? The answer is almost always effort. Make the decision quickly. Don't give comfort a chance to object. The harder path is what builds toughness. Over the weeks, you'll notice the difference. Tasks that were difficult will become easier. Challenges that used to break your will become manageable. You'll start carrying yourself with a quiet confidence, knowing you can rely on your strength. This transformation won't come from reading or wishing, but from choosing effort constantly when comfort tempts you. This is the rule of mental toughness. Every time you choose effort over comfort, you become stronger. Every time you choose comfort over effort, you become weaker. The decision is yours. With your continued choice of effort, discipline becomes a natural part of your life.
Chapter 8. Fight impulses by reminding yourself of future pain. Impulses are sudden desires that push you toward comfort, distraction, or immediate pleasure. They appear suddenly, and if you surrender to them, they take you away from the path of discipline. You may feel a desire to skip exercise, eat unhealthy food, postpone an important task, or surrender before completing what you started. In the moment, these desires seem innocent and even justified, but they're actually short-term traps that carry long-term pain. To force discipline to be present in your life, you must train yourself to face these desires by reminding yourself of the cost of surrendering to them. Every choice carries a consequence, but impulses hide from you their distant effects. They make your mind focus only on the current moment. The sugar in food seems delicious now. The postponed exercise seems easier now. The postponed work seems lighter now. But tomorrow will come, and with it a feeling of weakness, backwardness, and regret. That regret is the pain that the impulse doesn't show beforehand. The secret to overcoming impulses is to stop for a moment and project yourself into the future to clearly visualize the pain resulting from surrender. Think of the time you allowed a sudden desire to control you. How did you feel afterward? Did the pleasure last, or did it fade quickly, leaving behind a feeling of guilt and disappointment? The truth is that the pleasure of impulse never lasts like regret. Regret stays, grows, and weighs on you over time. When you remember this truth, you begin seeing impulses for what they truly are, short-term thieves stealing your long-term strength. Discipline is training the mind to look beyond the current moment. Anyone can choose what makes them comfortable now, but the disciplined person chooses based on tomorrow's impact. This ability differentiates between growth and stagnation. If you're always chasing impulses, you live in circles of starting and stopping, motivated one day and defeated the next. But if you fight impulses by reminding yourself of future pain, you begin breaking this pattern. You gain control over yourself. One of the most powerful tools is mental visualization. When the impulse appears, don't focus only on the comfort it offers, but imagine the pain that will come after it. Imagine yourself in front of the mirror seeing no progress because you skipped exercise again. Imagine the stress resulting from accumulated unfinished tasks. Imagine the lost opportunities because of surrender. Let these images become clear. The emotional reminder of pain cuts the false pleasure of desire. Also remember that impulses are temporary. They seem strong in the moment, but fade quickly if you hold out. The problem is that most people don't learn to wait. They feel the desire and respond immediately. But if you stop, remind yourself of future pain, and hold your position, the impulse weakens. Every time you hold out, you gain new strength. Every time you resist, you build greater confidence in yourself. With practice, the impulse loses its power over you. Facing impulses also requires awareness. Notice the situations that trigger them, perhaps when tired, stressed, or bored. If you don't identify these triggers, you'll always fall into the same trap. When you know them, you can prepare in advance and determine how you'll act when the desire appears. Replace the impulse with a stronger action. If you feel a desire to skip work, start with a small part of it immediately. If you feel a desire to eat bad food, drink a glass of water first. If you feel a desire to endlessly browse, take a short walk. Replacement weakens the impulse by redirecting energy. Over time, your mind learns that when desire appears, you don't obey it, but transform it into something useful. The cost of living according to impulses is heavy. It may not destroy one day, but it gradually weakens your strength. One missed exercise is not a problem, but repeating surrender to impulses builds a body you don't respect. One postponed task is not the problem, but repeating surrender creates a life full of lost opportunities. Everyone who lives today with regret was once surrendering to impulses. You must accept that impulses will never completely disappear. They will keep coming. The goal is not to eliminate them, but to control them. You win by creating a gap between desire and action, by stopping long enough to remind yourself of the pain you're avoiding. In this gap lies your power. In this gap, you decide to live with discipline instead of regret. With repetition, fighting impulses becomes a habit. It won't be exhausting after that. You recognize the impulse, refuse it quickly, and feel control over yourself. You'll feel proud not only of what you achieve, but what you no longer surrender to. This pride feeds greater discipline. Change your view of pain. Most people flee from it, but discipline means facing it. The pain of effort is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. When the impulse appears, ask yourself, which pain do I choose? If you surrender, you choose long pain. If you resist, you choose short pain. Discipline is choosing the pain that serves you, not the one that destroys. Remember the kind of life you want. Do you want to be someone who obeys every desire or someone who controls themselves? Do you want to look at your life with pride or regret? Impulses care about the moment, but you care about tomorrow. Your big vision is what allows you to resist temptation now. Over time, controlling impulses becomes one of your greatest strengths. You trust yourself completely. You know that when desire appears, you won't be its slave. You'll notice it, remember the pain it causes, and make the stronger choice. This trust gives you freedom and complete focus on what matters because you're no longer subject to passing desires. Discipline is the art of making decisions based on distant vision instead of immediate desire. Impulses will keep blindly trying to pull you toward comfort, but when you fight them by reminding yourself of long pain, you strip their power. You create a gap between your feeling and what you choose. In this gap dwells discipline. Start from now. Don't act on your impulses directly. When desire appears, stop and think about the pain you'll feel tomorrow. Make this thought heavier than the comfort of the moment. Then act according to your higher standard, not your lower desire. Every time you do that, you strengthen your discipline. Every victory proves that your future is more important than your impulses. The disciplined life is built daily by these small battles, by choosing between effort and regret, vision over comfort, discipline over weakness. It starts with one powerful skill: fighting impulses by reminding yourself of long pain. This reminder is the shield that protects you from regret and the tool that builds the strongest version of you. Chapter 9. Direct your energy only toward what truly matters. Every person wakes up daily with a limited amount of energy. This energy can be directed to build a meaningful life or wasted on distractions that lead you nowhere. Discipline is not just forcing yourself to work, but ensuring your actions focus on tasks that make a real difference. Without this focus, you can work all day and feel lacking because your energy went to things that had no impact. The disciplined life is not measured only by activity, but by progress in areas that shape your future. The reason many feel exhausted without achieving real accomplishments is the scattering of their energy on multiple things. They waste hours replying to messages, constantly browsing, worrying about others' opinions, or chasing trivial tasks that make them busy without actually being productive. At day's end, they feel tired while nothing important was built. This is the trap of undirected energy. Over time, some believe that just exerting effort is enough, but effort without focus is wasted effort. The discipline that changes your life comes from saying no to everything unimportant and saying yes only to what's most important. The first step to directing your energy wisely is clarity. You must know what's truly important to you. Without clarity, you'll be pulled in every direction by demands, temptations, and distractions. Ask yourself, what are the few things in my life that achieve the biggest results? Which actions bring me closer to health, growth, stability, or freedom? Answers differ from person to person, but everyone must define them. When you become clear, discipline lies in directing your energy only toward those priorities. It's easy to get caught in the noise of daily life. Every notification, invitation, or request from others pulls your attention. If you don't protect your focus, the world will decide where your energy goes for you. Rarely will that lead you toward your real priorities. So you must be intentional. Don't let your energy go automatically. Decide beforehand where it will go. Protect your focus as if it's your most precious resource. One of the most powerful strategies is defining the top 3 daily tasks, those tasks that make the real difference, and commit to completing them before anything else. These are not secondary tasks or routine work, but actions that align with your long-term goals. When you give your energy to them first, you ensure your day produces real progress, regardless of what happens afterward. Directing energy also requires setting strict boundaries. Discipline is not only what you do, but what you refuse to do. Every time you say yes to something meaningless, you say no to something important. If you allow others to interrupt you constantly or agree to commitments that don't serve your goals, you waste your energy. Discipline requires the ability to say no firmly and without guilt to protect your energy for tasks that build your future. Also, learn to recognize false productivity, doing things that look like work but don't make real impact. Endless organizing, constantly checking email, excessive research without execution. These give the illusion of progress while wasting your limited energy. The disciplined person constantly asks, does this bring me closer to my goal? If the answer is no, they immediately redirect their energy. This habit alone differentiates between truly productive and aimlessly busy. Directing energy is not just work, but includes all life aspects. If you invest your energy in negative arguments or trying to please everyone, you weaken your growth capacity. But if you invest in learning, health, meaningful relationships, and building skills, you strengthen your life. Discipline is choosing where your attention goes and the ability to cut everything that drains you without return. It's also essential to manage your peak energy. Every person has hours when they're at maximum focus. Identify those hours and allocate them to the most important work. Don't waste your best energy on trivial tasks. This decision alone can double your productivity. Monitor where your energy goes. Most people don't know how much they waste on distractions. Hours vanish in entertainment, gossip, or sterile browsing, and they wonder why nothing changes. When you track your habits honestly, you see discipline leaks clearly and create the opportunity to redirect. Every time you notice yourself deviating, remind yourself, this is not where my energy belongs. Then return it to important tasks. Directing energy requires courage because it often means disappointing others. People always want your attention for what serves them, not you. If you're not firm, you'll give your energy endlessly. Discipline is not selfishness, but conscious intention. If you don't protect your energy, you won't build the life you want, and no one will pay the price of your loss but you. The deep reason for directing your energy is that life is short. Every day you spend on worthless tasks is lost without return. The regret of wasted energy is painful. Many realize too late they spent years on work that didn't matter, to find themselves with nothing of value to show. Discipline protects you from this regret and ensures your investment of time, effort, and focus builds into something lasting. To apply this principle, make a list of your top priorities, no more than 5. Then compare every action you take with that list. If it serves one of those priorities, it deserves your energy. If it doesn't, reduce or eliminate it. This is how you cut the noise and live with clear direction. The disciplined life is not about doing everything, but about doing the right things consistently. Over time, directing energy becomes a habit. At first, you must constantly remind yourself, stop before saying yes, and resist diving into what seems urgent but isn't important. But over time, it becomes natural. You intuitively focus on what matters and ignore what doesn't. Momentum is generated and your progress multiplies. Results appear faster, not because you work more, but because you work smarter. Those who achieve most are not those who work longest hours, but those who direct their energy precisely. They know their priorities and give their best to them while ignoring distractions and maintaining their focus. This is the secret. Disciplined effort directed toward what matters. From now on, challenge yourself. Notice where your energy goes. Ask yourself, is this building the life I want? Does it bring me closer to my goals or consume me? Then make the disciplined choice. Direct your energy only toward what truly matters. Cut everything meaningless, protect your focus, and watch how your life begins transforming when every drop of energy goes to your progress, not to distraction. Chapter 10. To live with awareness and discipline. Discipline is not just a passing habit or a temporary decision we make on an enthusiastic day, then abandon when the road gets difficult. It's a deep internal position resembling a contract that binds you to yourself and reminds you at every moment that you are the first and last person responsible for your life. Many search for motivation, for enthusiasm, for that spark that pushes them to launch. But the shocking truth is that enthusiasm alone is short-lived. What remains and endures is discipline, because it doesn't depend on your mood or psychological state, but on your deep awareness that life won't give you what you deserve unless you pay the price of effort first. Awareness is the first step, to realize that every passing moment is either an opportunity to build or a wasted moment added to the regret account. To understand that excuses, no matter how convincing, won't change anything about reality, but will leave you stuck in the same spot. When you live with awareness, you see clearly where you put your time and energy. You understand that every small habit, no matter how unimportant it seems, either brings you closer to your goals or takes you away from them. There's no gray area. Either you're moving forward or allowing comfort to pull you backward. But awareness alone is not enough. How many people know what they should do and fully understand the habits that hinder them, yet remain prisoners of hesitation and procrastination? Here comes the role of discipline, the force that makes you move despite not wanting to, that pushes you to do what's necessary even when voices inside you scream, "Not today." Discipline means choosing difficulty now to live comfortably later, instead of choosing comfort now and facing a life full of difficulties later. Life always poses this question to you. Will you choose pain, the temporary pain of discipline, or the continuous pain of regret? Whoever evades commitment pays the price doubled later. But whoever tames themselves to discipline discovers that the hardest battles were not outside, but in their mind. Because the hardest step is not accomplishing the task itself, but forcing yourself to begin. Once you start, you discover that the wall you feared was not as solid as you thought, but just an illusion created by your mind to keep you in place. To live with awareness and discipline, you must stop waiting for perfect circumstances and stop waiting for the moment of motivation. There's no such thing as the right time. The perfect moment is now. The real opportunity is to start with a small step, then repeat it, then make it a habit, until your entire life transforms into a series of conscious decisions that create your future. Discipline is not a prison, as some think, but true freedom. The freedom to control yourself, not to be controlled by your passing desires. The freedom to choose to build your day, instead of it being built by chance. In the end, awareness opens your eyes to the truth, and discipline gives you the courage to live it. Make your life a reflection of your conscious choices, not a result of your old habits. Every morning, ask yourself, will I allow comfort to lead me, or will I lead myself with discipline? The answer is what will determine the shape of your future. Before closing, if you liked the content, don't forget to press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. Your support is the fuel that pushes us to continue and always deliver the best. Life sometimes seems like a battle between your desire to progress and your natural inclination toward comfort. Perhaps the hardest thing in this battle is not the path itself, but that short moment before action, the moment when your mind hesitates and searches for justifications to retreat and convince you that tomorrow is better than today. But the clear truth that cannot be denied is that waiting won't bring you anything. The more you depend on your feeling or on external motivation, the closer you are to failure. But every time you force yourself to act without waiting, you build within yourself a new faith. Faith that you are in control, not your feelings, not your fluctuations, not your circumstances. With repetition of this faith transforms into a habit. This habit transforms into a new nature, a nature that leads you to true freedom. Freedom here doesn't mean living without commitments, means being master of yourself, not prisoner of your fluctuations, being able to act even in the absence of enthusiasm, committing to what you decided even when the easier path tempts you. Feelings by their nature are passing, fluctuating, and weak for difficulties, but commitment is what remains, what makes the difference between a life that's built and a life that's destroyed. When you train yourself to make the decision and execute without hesitation, you shrink the distance between thinking and action. You break that vicious cycle of procrastination. Then discipline becomes your identity, not just a passing habit. It becomes part of you, as if you cannot be otherwise.